Welcome to the Benji Lewis Coaches Show. I am Desmond Lighton here. Sitting next to me, I got my esteemed head coach and athletic director, Coach Benji Lewis. Man, welcome back, man. Week 10, week 11?
Already, huh? Yeah, it is week 10 right now.
Yeah, if you notice, the show looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
My esteemed colleague is out gallivanting right now somewhere in New York.
Yeah, in the Big Apple.
Exactly. What really happened, he didn't want to talk about last week, so he left the state.
It's a tough job.
Exactly.
I'm glad he left it for us to
Yeah,
do.
exactly. Nah, you laugh so you can cry, but you know what,
Yeah,
man?
that's right.
It's a great opportunity for us to jump off and get off the snide, man. So
Yeah.
definitely want to look back to last week. A lot of teams can crumble from it, and other teams can build from it, man. I heard you guys use this as an opportunity to build last week, coming off of a tough loss against Ash.
Yeah, we talked after Neville, but I don't guess or I don't think it had the effect it needed to. It's no secret if anybody talks to any football players. Last year at the end of the season, we felt like there was so much we had left out there, and you can use the excuses you had injuries, and the injuries we had were tough injuries.
Yep,
but
QB.
still, people overcome injuries, and we started talking about that and what things prevented us from being a little more successful. And one of those was just the blame game. When things go bad, the human nature or what society tells us now, well, somebody's got to be at fault, and I'm going to find out who it is because it isn't me.
It's like that Spider-Man meme, everybody pointing at each other.
And we did so well all off season with that. We picked each other up, but that's when there's no wins and losses, not real ones being tallied. We're winning every day in our off season work, and the whole time, myself and the coaching staff telling them adversity hits every team. There is no such thing as not having adversity in a season for any football team. And those who are successful, they may be the best team, but sometimes they handle adversity best.
Yeah. How do they
they're
react?
an average team that handles adversity well.
Absolutely.
And you see those teams thrive. And so the last 2 weeks, after a hard-fought 2 losses that I felt like,
3.
Did we deserve, the Ruston game? Did we deserve the West Monroe game? Well, we got to go get those.
Yeah.
We've got to execute. But either way, we knew at that point in time we could play with anybody in our district. But somewhere after those 2 weeks, things changed. A couple of more injuries, new injuries happened. Mm-hmm. And I think that started, as I'm talking to the young men, that started the trend of, letting doubt and letting some of the outside opinions come in, and then you have to start blaming. And so to answer your question, on Monday when we came in, we had a meeting that I had with all my coaches and team, and it's not representative of what we normally do on a Monday. Usually right after school we're out. Excuse me, but we got dressed, went in the back weight room, and I said my piece, and I asked some questions, and if I'm honest, some of the answers were surprising to me.
Yeah.
And then, I told them, we're going to practice today, but I think it's time for you to become honest with each other and remember what it was that was said and the things that were done and how hard you worked for that bond that you created. And when you're ready, when everybody said their piece in here, without the coaches or anybody in there, come out and we'll start practice.
So we had a players-only meeting.
Players-only meeting.
Monday.
Yes.
And that brings back memories for me because we used to do those weekly at McNeese.
Right.
And I feel like it was so much that came across, and players would say things to players they would never say without a coach in front of them. But also I felt like players would step up into positions that they would not normally step up into. What crossed your mind to make you feel like that was necessary?
Well, I just think, in my job I see it a lot. That's why I have a leadership council, because I can ask a player, and I wish it wasn't this way, but you either you figure out how to navigate the climate of what today's athlete is, or you just fall behind.
You got to adjust. You got to.
And I would love to have that talk like you and I are having and say, hey, what do you feel? And you would tell
Keep
me.
it a buck, yeah.
But that's not necessarily, I don't know if it's just apprehension of not having that, a lot of social skills.
We think it's a trap. If I'm putting myself in my player mind, we think coach trying to get me to tell him something so he can bench me or punish me or something.
I tell them, I'm honest with them. I probably share more with them than I remember my coaches sharing with me.
I can agree with that
because
just from listening to you.
I think that there needs to be a bond. That player coach thing, that was something that I remember from 1997 in those years I played. You revered that coach, and it just was different.
But you didn't share. There was almost a wall that was built
That's
up
right.
between you because of that revere.
And to the point, and a great coach now. But to the point that during the off season, you didn't really see him much.
Nah.
You didn't see him much.
He was like a movie star. You had to see him in the box office.
And so for me, as time has gone on, I've become, or I've seen that those player coaches, like Lane Kiffin, he's a player coach.
Absolutely.
And those coaches, and that's what players desire because the roles have changed.
Coach Ed Ogeron, somebody like that. Yeah.
Roles have changed so much. And so I'm honest with my players, and I want the same. And so that's why a lot of the things we do, we put them in situations where communication is key and getting their point across is key. Whether it's something they want to hear, I want to hear, or not, you have to be able to communicate and vocalize it, And so what I did forming the leadership council is these guys know, likelihood is you're not in trouble when we meet. It's a group of you, so there's power in numbers.
Yeah.
And my question to them after we go through anything that they decide what uniform combo and everything we're wearing every week.
What?
But after that it's basically what issues do I not know about? Is there any issues that I need to know about? I mean, these aren't things that, hey, we're going to kick this player off the team, but hey, what player maybe the power may be out at their house?
Who's disgruntled?
That's
that's a key thing that I had a coach tell me. Sometimes we don't know who can show up to practice with a full meal.
That's right.
So
it's literally slapped me in the face, the reality of what some of our players have to contend with, and football and practice is the least of their worries.
Yeah.
And that's just the world we're in, man. And so I want to be strong because the world's always going to be strong, but I also want to be compassionate to needs and the likelihood that a player, I've only had it happen in my 2 years, maybe once or twice, where a player walks in and says, hey, I've got this situation going on.
Not gonna happen.
And I'm glad, but most of the time I'm going to hear that from another player. Yeah.
So having that council, you could see that maybe we needed to have a players-only meeting. What do you think? What do you think came from that meeting?
Well, some of the council members had called me and told me, Coach, I think we're reverting back, and they didn't ask for the meeting, but I just knew that was the next thing.
Have a platform.
Yeah, and I wanted them. I know that things are tough right now. I know that we could sit here for the whole hour and talk about the things that we didn't do well in that game. And my original plan was to go back and take some of the cut clips from like the Sterlington game, the Wassman game, even Franklin Parish game, and show them the effort that they played with in those games versus the effort from like a Neville or
to remember who we are.
But I felt like that would just be pointing fingers at them again, and so I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. But I told them, I said, go look. You can lie to everybody, but you can't lie to yourself.
This guy don't lie.
You can't lie to yourself. At the end of the day, and I invited them. I said, please go back and watch and be honest with yourself. But what I hope to accomplish from it was, number one, the players to get back to communicating with each other. I don't care if they're hollering at each other or they're understanding and sympathizing, just to get back to communicating without it being the blame game.
Yeah.
And I think in that meeting, when I was in there at least, they saw that a large majority of them were at fault in that. They had fell into that. And I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. I understand society has not only going to do it, but they have the right to say whatever they want to say. But the people that are in those rooms, those walls, and on that practice field every day, they know. They know what's going on. They know what the state and status of our program is. They know the reasons why. Or if they don't, they sometimes come and ask the reasons why. And I told them, I said, you either feed into that, and if you do, you're sitting with your feet in two boats, and you've got to get in one boat or the other. It's just your life's in no balance if you're saying yeah, and then over here you're trying to come and you're really trying to lock in. You can't do it.
Yeah. So getting some commitment. So not to harp on last week, but just to mention, how much of last week's result was about Ash and how much was about maybe our effort?
Well, I'm going to tell you, man, I wish that I could watch that game this weekend at Ash, because it's going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah.
I say that to say Ash is very, very,
very good,
man. Coach Bachman is a really good offensive coach and has a good staff offensively. They were supposed to be about a year away defensively. They played well the other night.
Yeah.
I think offensively, how much was it Ash? How much their offense versus our defense? I think it was at least 65 to 70% ash.
Yeah, they're pretty explosive.
Yeah.
And that running back is advertised.
That to me, that's the game changer. Before you kind of set in the boat of, hey man, we can do odd front stuff with him and all that, because we knew, hey, he's more prone to throw the ball.
Yeah, we play nickel.
Now it's with that guy, it's not, because I think he's the best running back we've seen this year.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
And so it was tough, because that's how they got it going.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's a lot easier to stop the pass than it is to stop the run once they're gashing.
Yeah, easy. I mean, that's the most dependable thing. But even still with all that, it felt like there were times we had to steal some momentum. There was a pick six that we let go. There was a great punt that was muffed. That's, a 28-point swing.
Yep.
So we talked about the many faces of Washita. Was that a point to, like, hey, even with us not being 100% there, we still had a chance?
Well, I think, we had opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
And I mentioned last week that since I've been here, we've scored a touchdown on special teams every year. Mm-hmm. And I thought going into the game, we had the advantage in the special team game. And that was kind of what clued me into the bigger problem, is that we didn't take advantage of that. We didn't look like the better team, special teams-wise.
For the first week.
Trey did a great job punting, a really great job. But, we needed to win in all phases of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, it kind of went back to the Franklin Parish thing, where it's a great team. They're at least as good as intelligent as we are. We need to win the special teams. And I thought that's what we needed to do, and we didn't do the other night. And it caused some trouble. Okay,
and then we reacted to that, how we reacted, players meeting, some things came to surface. What was the major takeaway in the story of Washita moving forward this season after that game?
Well, that, our goals are in front of us.
Still.
I mentioned, I've referenced several times Union Parish last year. You don't have to look back tonight. Used to, everybody had used the Lutcher in 1994 or something, and they were 0-5, went 5-5, and went and won it. You just look at Union last year. They were third place in their district, and they go on and win it. What was it they had? Desire and resolve, And that's a word, desire, that I've used a lot in the last week or two, is just, I can tell how, you approach the game. I could tell in pre-practice. Pre-game warm-up. I said it in the end zone, Ash was fired up for that game. We, for whatever reason, did not look fired up for that game. And that's on me. I've got to do a better job of that. And I've expressed to them what we will be like this week, coming out for a stretch and everything like that. Because this is high school football in Louisiana, man. In District 2-5A, it's exciting.
Yep, exciting. It's tough.
Exciting.
And now at the end of the season, we got a win and get in situation.
That's right. Yep.
So that's the message coming in.
That's right.
You got a tough Pineville opponent. Well, you know what? I say tough. Let's keep it a buck. We ain't seen the toughest we're going to see as of right now.
Right.
So how is it getting the guys to get up for a team that maybe you should win, but if you ain't got it right internally, it don't matter who you play?
Well, it should be much harder, and I envision it being harder for this week. But after that talk and that team meeting, they're back up. They've had a good week of practice.
Injuries?
We're still
a little
we
still
still
beat up?
got some injuries. Yeah, we still do, and they hurt. They do. But I don't like to call light to them a lot, just because, again, every team to some level deals with injuries.
Everybody has some.
But I do, we did find out this week that C.J. Williams is officially out for the season.
Ooh.
And that's a big blow.
Yeah,
that's a big blow. And I only want to mention that because C.J.'s been such a
instrumental,
just a staple of our program since he was a freshman. He don't miss days, he don't miss work, he great grades kid, never in trouble, great family, and all that. And he'll be back next year as a senior, but it's tough to lose.
So how does that affect the program? Who steps in to fill in with CJ?
Well, what it has been being, and it'll continue to be that, you've got a combination of Carter Boyd that steps up. Carter, really, really smart guy that'll grade out every week in the high 90s. He's just got physicality he's got to keep improving. The other is sophomore Jordan Pleasant. Has been playing that role. We get Ray Jones back. He had a good game, pretty good game the other night. Marcus Jacobs. So what you're missing is that continuity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, familiarity, knowing that's who's going to be next to him, who I got to
how he plays.
Yeah, who I got to hold a little longer for, who I got to scoop and build to the next level with. Yeah,
that's right.
So
that's kind of the biggest issue with offensive line, as you well know. You played in high school, like knowing who that guy is next to you and like having a rapport with him. Like I know how we double team, and I know who comes off, and
when we
have
off.
our own language, we don't even have to talk. You know, that's what I played offensive line too, and I love that part of it.
It's beautiful. I play with Paco, Aaron Vincey. He's a sheriff now. He could look at me the right way. I knew I had an out call. I knew I was going out with him.
That's right.
You know, so that takes time.
When you're doing that kind of stuff and you're having to replace guys, there's just a learning curve.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, Coach. Well, we got a beautiful show coming on today. We flushed last week.
Yep.
We had some great progress. It sounds like this week got the energy and the mojo back. Who did you bring with us to talk to us this week?
Yeah, I brought Coach Jeremy Foote. He's our special teams
Big
coordinator and also defensive line coach along with myself. And he has with him Blaze Marsalis, senior. Man, I can't say enough great about Blaze. Blaze is a guy that came in, wasn't with us as his freshman year, came in his sophomore year, and golly, and he always smiling.
Yeah. Came in smiling today.
Yeah, he's not. You don't see him frown.
Yeah.
And he stepped into a big role with Petey Jones being out, and Blaze has been more than serviceable. He's played everything for us.
He switched from linebacker, right?
Yeah, he switched from linebacker. He asked me, he said, Coach, I know I'm not going to play linebacker.
Come on.
And can I move down and play D-end?
Nobody asked to put their hand in the dirt. That's not normal.
And then, he got there, and obviously you had Petey doing well, and you had Teddy Wright doing well. And so he just said, and he's that in this day and age, that's when things fester and arise. And I told Blaze after he started after Petey's injury, I said, man, he had a pretty good game against Neville. And I said, man, look, my fault. As a coach, I'm willing to admit I probably should have situationally played you more. He said, no, Coach, you're busy. What a great kid.
That's some understanding. That's some depth.
Yep. And look, I mean, just so passionate about what he does. He's going into the Marines when he's already
Jarhead.
I mean, he's recruiting for him right now and making extra money, getting other guys to sign up.
They paying referral fees in the Marines?
Oh, yeah.
Coach, I had a teammate real quick that was a National Guard, and he would give me gear for me to hand out his flyers to get recruits for him. Yeah. The dude was like 30 years old still playing football.
Well, Blaze is a very self-knowledgeable guy. He will tell you exactly what he wants to do in the Marines and everything else that he's wanted to do in life, man. He set his sights to it.
Beautiful.
Coach Foote and Blaze Marcel, and then on the offensive side of the ball and special team side of the ball, offensive Coach Alvin Talbert, who coaches our running backs. And we had not gotten our other punter, Connor Burns in. Connor came in when Miguel Mondragon was out for Neville. Connor came in, had not kicked off before, and had not kicked a field goal.
Didn't miss a beat.
Yeah, I know. So just a great asset for us. I'm glad that this is his only year. He's played football. He plays soccer for our soccer team. And I'm just glad he's enjoying it.
Me too.
He stepped into a role where, he was in a battle with Trey, and Trey, was more consistent than he was. And so everybody kind of wondered what Connor would do then. Well, he stuck around and stuck it out.
And not to be too long-winded, but I watched Connor, his reaction. And, I had ULM's punter come coach both. I wanted to make sure whatever Trey got, Connor got as well. And to see his reaction, he never rooted against Trey. They never rooted against each other.
That kicking group is good about that.
Man,
I wish every position group was like a kicking group.
Yeah, it's different. They're a different breed of guys, man. But my respect for him grew tremendously, so I was so excited myself to see him get a chance to get in and burn.
Yeah,
because he got a big leg.
Absolutely, he does have a big leg. We just got to get it direct.
That's it. We direct it right. But anyway, okay, so we got a good show for you guys. Y'all stick around to the Coach Benji Lewis Coaches Show. We'll be right back after these messages.
We warmly invite you to join us in worship at North Monroe. Our hearts are dedicated to serving Jesus and growing together as a community of faith. Through the power of worship, the intimacy of small groups tailored for all ages, and our deep commitment to supporting one another as we seek to walk with Christ. Join us on Sundays at 9 and 10:30 a.m. at our Monroe campus. You can also worship with us at our Bastrop campus at 10:30 a.m. For more info, visit us at northmonroe.com.
If you were just in a car crash, the insurance company could already be calling you. Don't talk to them, talk to us. The call is free, and the difference could mean going into debt or getting the settlement you deserve. Pick up the phone and call us right now. Don't wait. Call Creed & Creed, 387-5800. You can count on Creed and Creed. Call today, 387-5800. Remember, Creed and Creed is all you need.
Hi, I'm Chris Lewis, the proud owner of Coney Island Connection. For nearly 20 years now, we've served the Arklamists with our fast, friendly service and our famous chili cheeseburgers and our famous chili cheese dogs. Well, the chili is homemade. I'm asking you to stop by today and give us a try. We also serve hot tamales, roast beef po' boy, fried pickles, and much more. We even serve funnel cake fries here at Coney Island Connection on the corner of North 7th and Arkansas Road.
Randall Garvin's Captain Avery Seafood and Specialty Meats is now open. 2 incredible and delicious institutions now under one roof. Fresh-cut steaks, stuffed meats, and wraps.
He's got fresh seafood of every kind, along with boiled shrimp, barbecue ribs, sausage, and chicken. Plus, there's always grab-and-go dishes if you're not cooking.
Randall's is also taking ham and turkey orders for the holidays.
Randall's Captain Avery Seafood and Specialty Meats, 1 block off 165 at 2607 Fur End, Monroe.
Hi, I'm Melanie, class of 2018.
Hi, I'm Matthew, class of 2020. And our dad owns Mel's Towing.
We don't want your arm and leg, we just want your toe.
343-9998.
Go on!
If you or a loved one have been the victim of medical negligence or a drug injury, we can help. Do what thousands of satisfied clients have done. Call Jeff Guerrero, the injury attorney, and go Guerrero.
All right, and welcome back to the Benji Lewis Coaches Show. I'm Desmond Lighton here. We are back with the defensive line coach and special teams coach, Coach Foot. I like to call him Coach Bigfoot. And Coach, tell me who you got sitting next to you.
I got Blaze Marsala. He's a
Marsala.
senior defensive end.
Welcome in, Blaze. How you feeling, man?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Hey, man, look, Coach Lewis spoke very highly of you, man, and I got a lot of questions for you.
Yes,
you know
sir.
why? I heard that you played linebacker.
Yes, sir, I did.
And you had the like wherewithal to say, I'm not gonna get any burn at linebacker. Coach, put me at D-line.
Yes, sir.
I don't know many people that ask to put their hand in the dirt. What made that occur to you to say, hey, you know, I need to be at the defensive line?
I've always liked defensive line more than linebacker. I played my freshman year at DN, and I always wanted to go back whenever I got moved to linebacker.
Okay, so what was Coach Lewis's reaction when you asked him to do that?
It was like, yeah, just start going with the linemen during Indo and all that.
And then you got to be with Coach Foot a little bit more.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about this kid, Coach, or this young man, I should say, when he entered. When he came about week 2, he started practicing with us.
Yeah, he did. He was playing linebacker. Didn't know much about him. I knew he was a funny guy. He's very has a lot of funny characteristics. He's a quirky kid.
Give me a couple of
them. Number one, he's a Marine. He's been training to be a Marine.
That's quirky.
He's been recruiting kids to be Marines. He is all in.
Give me your pitch to a Marine. Why would I want to be a Marine?
To do cool stuff.
That's it?
Yeah, like shoot guns, run a lot, hike. All that fun stuff.
You had me at shooting guns. All right, so I heard you get a little kickback for everybody you get.
Yes, sir. A little bit of food and a little bit of money.
A little food? They feed, what y'all give me, MREs? What they give me?
Some canes.
Okay. Sorry about that, Coach Foot, but continue.
Oh, you're good, man. No, it was actually worked out really well because we've had 3 defensive ends go down this season.
Yeah.
One with Kenny, who had a neck injury, and then Petey, number 6, with a arm injury, and then Teddy fell in the Neville game for a while, and Blaze stepped in, and he's really accepted the role and done a really good job. I've been very impressed, and I'm thankful that he came down when he did, because if it wasn't for that, we would have just Alex, who kind of backs him up. But he's done a really good job, and we've been pleased with it.
The biggest thing for me is when Petey went down, I was like, oh my goodness. But it wasn't. I didn't find myself doing the broadcast like, man, it's a glaring hole right here. We're getting killed right here. And that's step one. It's just like an offensive lineman. If you don't talk about it, then that means you're not doing anything wrong.
Well, you can look at it one of two ways. Now, Petey had a lot of recovery speed, and he was a fast kid, and he did a lot of stuff that made a lot of plays. But what Blaze does is he does everything correctly, which puts you in a position to make a play most of the time. And now you can look at it one of two ways. Now, Petey was a playmaker. He made a lot of plays that caused a lot of momentum shifts and things like that. But Blaze is consistent, and that's what you get out of him, and I appreciate that.
Translation, what he's saying is Blaze ain't having no MAs and getting out of the wrong gap every now and then. So you take the good with the bad.
That's correct.
Production versus tolerance. Okay, and I had a couple teammates like that, my guy. So you can make up a lot with just your knowledge of the game. So what is the coaching style like? Did you have to change your coaching style? Because you just mentioned playing styles different.
Well, no, because we treat our jack, which is our strong side end, and our end, which is our weak side end, a little differently. And he played a lot of both, so we just coach him like we would an end most of the time because it's more of a squeeze and make a play type guy. Yeah, and we allow them. We don't want our linebackers to have to guess which gap to go in. And when they squeeze the B gap and the C gap down, they know they have to fit off the edge if the play's coming that way, and it makes it easier for us. And he does a good job of that.
Give us a scenario. I'm sorry.
Well, now you got gap scheme stuff. When a tackle down blocks, he squeezes it down real well. Whereas Petey attacks the play and makes the play. He squeezes it down and lets the linebacker make a play. So he's just super reliable, and that's what I appreciate about you.
That's such good insight that the average person don't know is the puzzle piece that is football and the intuitiveness that the linebacker has to have to know. If my end don't squeeze, then I got to step over and be this guy that either hard joints it or spills it.
And we let Petey do that because we knew what kind of player he was, and we were fine with that. But now Blaze has a specific skill set. He's reliable. He does what he's supposed to do. Now we know we have to fit exactly where we're supposed to, or we're gonna have problems. But if we don't, we're gonna make a lot of plays.
Got it. Talk about Teddy. You mentioned Teddy being down this week. Is he
he's back healthy. It was just a knee issue. I don't think he's ever dealt with any injury much, and when he came back full force, and he's been doing really well. And I tell you what, Alex knows that he's next man up, and he's been playing on fire this week. He's had a motor, man. We've me and Coach Lewis has talked about it. We're excited to see him next year because he is going to be a phenomenal player next year. I promise you'll be hearing his name a ton next year.
So we don't ever want to see injuries, right? But it provides an opportunity to get some of your youngsters some reps that they just would never normally get.
Well, the only two players that we're losing up front is Blaze, and we're losing Teddy. But you have a lot of guys that have a similar skill set in them, and you'll have Petey back next year. You'll have Alex back next year, and it's really good to know that these guys are interchangeable, man. It's hard for us to decide who plays on the outside because, and then you have the two guys that are inside that are also obviously dominant.
Yeah.
But you have the two guys outside that. If Blaze goes down, for example, I hope it doesn't, but Alex can step in and be just as. It's just fun because you have depth at the outside spot, and it's really easy to coach when you have that. We don't have much inside depth. We have one guy to back up each guy, and it gets tough.
Which is Ashton.
Yeah, Ashton, maybe Caden, which Caden's coming on, but right now Ashton's the guy.
Yeah.
And it's really fun because you have four guys that can play. Four guys that can play two different spots, it gets easy.
And you know what? That sounds like a coach's biggest anxiety is depth, it sounds like, in the background, and also MAs. But we laughed because the first thing that Blaze started laughing like, I don't want to get hurt either, Coach.
Well, I tell you what, though, Blaze he's just too reliable for us to not put him off the field. We flirted with putting Alex in a little more this week, but Blaze has been super, super, super reliable. He's yes, sir, no, sir, and I love a kid that will just say, yes, sir, I'll get better. And that's kind of what Blaze is. He just does. He knows his role. He wants to do his role, and that's how Marine is.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Give me some orders, sir. So speaking of Marines, man, we had boots on the ground last week versus Ash. Let's look back to that. The pace of that game from a D-line perspective, a lot of people don't realize how intense that is when the speed is at. What was it like for you being in such a high-paced game?
We had some difficulties getting calls in at times, and just the pacing. They were a little bit faster than us.
Yeah. What do you think you learned during that game?
Get to where you got to be, line up, and look for the play call.
Okay. All right. So, Coach, on your end, getting the calls in, I know that you got Coach Samp calling the defense. Is there any type of games or things that you have to call?
I just suggest more than anything, but the tempo that they go is like they stay in the same personnel, but they run the play so fast that you have to almost have a call ahead of what you're doing. Yeah. So we get there, and we're looking for a 2nd and 4, but they end up getting another first down. You have to change what you're doing.
Because you think in a situation, I got a 2nd and 4 call ready.
And unfortunately, we didn't do the job we were supposed to do at times, and it caused them to get ahead of the chains. And when they get another first down after the first down they just had, it's hard for you to call a play because you're thinking, let's see what we're doing 2nd and mid or 2nd and short or 2nd and long even. But when they get a first down, it messes you up, and then they gas you. Like they don't let the chains get set before they call another play, and it gets difficult. And as defensive linemen, you have to be able to adapt there. When that call's not in, you have to get in your spot and play your technique like we teach them to do. And we taught that, and it kind of got out of hand for a minute, but we gained our composure and played a little bit better in the second half. But there's a lot of learning points from that game, more than any game this year to me.
And then we can flush it and move forward.
That's it.
So we got Pineville coming in, a win and get in situation. What's the energy been like in the defensive line room? The message that we want to take as a group.
We really want to go dominate these guys up front. We believe we're better than them all across the defensive line, and we're going to go make a bunch of plays.
I like that. So who would you say is the leader in the D-line room?
AJ.
I would have to say AJ as well. AJ, he keeps our energy at the same even keel. You know, he's also a dominant player. Dylan's not as much of a vocal leader during the week. He has a lot that he has to study for and focus on. But AJ is really, in my opinion, he's our leader. He does anchor that part. But I mean, in my opinion, a team like Pineville, you have to play tough, you have to play hard, or they will sneak up on you. You know.
Yeah. What type of offense do you think up front?
I think we're going to see a ton of 11 gun personnel, which is a back and a tight end.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, they use their quarterback to run it a lot, depending on which one they have in. They have a couple different quarterbacks, and they throw a lot of different stuff at you. And special teams wise, they have 2 different types of swinging gates. They have 2 different types of kickoffs. They kick off on both hashes, and it's just a lot. But as far as the defensive line goes, in terms of the motto we have this week, we have to get back what we were good at the beginning of the year. We physically played well with Ruston. We physically played well with West Monroe, which is 2 teams that up front you expect them to dominate most teams.
Cream of the crop of the state.
Yeah, and we were toe-to-toe with them, and we got away from that somehow. And we just said that, look, guys, the Rustons, the West Monroes, even the Nevilles, you're supposed to be able to play with these guys. And I think that we have one of the best teams in the state if we have it up here. And I think that's the biggest set. We have to set a mindset of being dominant. And if we don't, we come out flat, we're going to get beat. That's just the way we are.
You trying to get me ready to play this weekend,
Yes,
Coach?
sir.
I mean, my goodness. I got a couple snaps in me.
And we kind of and I told him that in the meeting, me and Coach Lewis both, we said, when you're backed in a corner, that you can do one of 2 things. You can just take it, or you can fight your way out. Yeah. And I said, I'm not the type to just take it, man. We got to fight our way out.
Yep.
And I think we've responded well, and I'm looking forward to the playoffs because it's a new season, man, and I think we can make some things happen.
You win, and whatever happens can happen. You know, you just got to get in there. So what are you looking forward to? Last question, any final thoughts about moving into this week? You moved to a new position. You had no idea that we don't want anybody to get injured, but it provided an opportunity for you to play. What are your thoughts coming into this week with the opportunity to go to the playoffs?
It's really like any other week. You just got to prepare hard and execute on Friday night.
Do the job, right?
And Semper Fi Marines?
Yes, sir.
That's right, baby. Hey, so look, we're about to get to a break. But first, I want to give a shout-out. Shout-out to Mike. Mike Downhauer is out there in Madison Square Garden. First of all, who goes to New York and flies into Jersey, by the way? I was told that if you go to New York, you just look at Jersey like you're looking at a trash heap from across. But anyway, shout-out to Mike out there gallivanting, man. We miss you. We'll see you when you get back. But if you guys tune back in, we're about to get to a break. You're listening to the coach. We're watching because we got T-Lay over there, the Coach Lewis Coaches Show. We'll be back after this.
If you or a loved one have been the victim of medical negligence or a drug injury, we can help. Do what thousands of satisfied clients have done. Call Jeff Guerrero, the injury attorney, and go Guerrero.
Diamond Gun and Outdoor in Lakeshore. Clearly a cut above the others. Get ready for hunting season at your one-stop shop, Diamond Gun and Outdoors. Ammo, and check out the latest new and used rifles. Why hunt all over town when Diamond Gun and Outdoor in Lakeshore has everything you need, family owned and operated. Diamond Gun and Outdoor, 8203 Desert in Lakeshore, just down from Ray's PG. Diamond Gun and Outdoor, 8203 Desert, Lakeshore.
Last hailstorm, we called Weather Pro. They came out very quickly, inspected the house, did everything we needed to do, took care of all the paperwork, and took care of it quickly. After that was done, and they cleaned up everything and didn't have to worry about anything. There was no hassle, no nothing. It was great. They did a very professional job. I would highly recommend them for any job that you have for roofing needs.
Football fans, are you ready to score big this season? Johnny's Pizza House is the winning play for every game day with our new Pizza Squad Rewards app. Download it now from johnnysph.com/app and get in the game with $5 off your first in-app order. Every order earns you loyalty points, so you can rack up rewards faster than a running back hitting the end zone. Save your favorite orders, track your deliveries, and enjoy exclusive offers, all at your fingertips. Visit johnnysph.com/app. Enjoy the Pizza Squad today. Johnny's Pizza House. Let's share a slice of game day glory.
The staff at Community Health is all about service to the community. That's, we're trying to provide access to affordable, quality health care. And so with access comes service. And so you can't do that without having good staff.
Seneca Swartz is a proud supporter of Ouachita Lions football, dishing out some of the best burgers, conies, and appetizers in Monroe to the citizens of East Ouachita Parish for many years. From supersonic burgers to bacon doubles, chili cheese conies, jalapeno poppers, and weekly specials, Sonic has something that will satisfy your craving. Grab a snack on the way to the game or dinner on the way home. That's Seneca Swartz, 520 Lincoln Road, proud supporter of Ouachita Lions football.
And we are back live here at Catahoulas, man. Y'all got to come out to Catahoulas. We got a beautiful crowd here. Shout out to Shane Smiley, man. Get you some seafood, get you a burger. But we're tuned into the Benji Lewis Coaches Show. I got some esteemed guests here, some illustrious guests here of the Ouachita Lions. We got Coach Tolbert, running backs coach for the Ouachita Lions. Yeah. And then we got Connor Burns to his right, the kicker. Right, I would say punter, kicker. You a specialist extraordinaire. Yeah. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you. How's it feel to be here?
Man, feel great. Yeah,
yeah.
Feel good to be here today.
Okay, what you eating over there, Con?
Some wings.
Some wings,
yes,
huh?
Sir.
Man, look, I'm going to say something. I think Blaze came for the food. Mm-hmm. We got done talking, and the first thing Blaze said to me was, can I eat now?
Yeah.
Spoken like a true Marine. But, man, talk to me, man. We coming off of a tough loss, but we got everything out in front of us. We got a beautiful opportunity to beat Pineville and go to the playoffs. What was this week's practice like for the running backs and the offense in general?
Well, the offense in general, just getting back to the groove of things, man, where we was, man, establishing the run game. We're going to try to establish a run game this week. And the thing that I preached to them today in the meeting room was that, man, I said, it's not about the opponent, it's about us.
Yeah.
Let's get better this week, man. Let's put together a good week of practice, and let's get to it, man.
Absolutely.
And that's always the goal with me, man, to establish the run game early and often.
Oh, of course. I see you in inside. Y'all got to see this guy when we run inside. So inside's the drill between basically the 8-man box and the offensive line, tight ends, and running back. Yeah. And it's like it's a run play every play. The offensive line know they running. The defense know they running. It's like who's going to impose they will. You would think this guy was in here playing, man. You got me fired up, man. What that fire? So this is your second time on the show this season, right?
Right. It's my second time.
Notice I said season. I'm talking about the season of the show, not the season of the football team. But we talked a little bit about how you got into coaching, right?
Uh-huh.
Where did that fire and that passion come from that I see in the inside drill come from?
Well, that thing, man, I'm big on this. I'm big on energy. And I feel like if I'm bringing a level of energy in practice, then my players should match me in practice. So that's what I be wanting to bring, man. I just be wanting to bring that energy to those guys, man, motivate those guys, set the tone with those guys, man, and let them know how important it is. And I think when I move around like that, they know it means something to me.
Absolutely, and we can feel that. And speaking of energy, Connor, I talked about you earlier with your coaches, man. as you know, we kind of got closer this season because I had Mackenzie Ryan come out and coach you and Trey, which it was very interesting to me to see because it was a dynamic between you guys. You guys were competing for a job. And no matter where it was in the depth chart, your energy stayed the same. You and Trey stayed like this, locked in, bro. I was very happy when I saw the opportunity for you to get on the field regardless of what was going on with punt. So how did you take that hearing like I'm going to be kicking this week?
You know, I was nervous, really, but when I got on the field, it was, you know, I wasn't nervous anymore. It's just a mind thing, you know.
The player came out.
Yeah.
Where do you think that come from?
I don't know, really.
So what was the message from Coach Foote talking to you during that week? Did you know you were going to be starting at kicker?
Yes, sir. Well, starting Thursday is when I found out that Miguel wasn't going to be there. Yeah. So I was kind of.
Wait. So you had a day?
Yep.
You had one day, 24 hours. What'd they tell you?
They just told me, you know, be ready, be prepared. So that's what I did.
And then didn't you actually attempted a pretty long field goal that game, right?
Yeah, I was like 35 yard line.
Yeah, for your first kick. How was that?
It was kind of nerve-wracking. I missed it, though, but yeah.
But you had plenty of leg. So you builded something to the year. So now, what was kickoff like?
Yeah, it was good. We didn't go long, which is what I'm good at, but yeah, we did that sky kick and the bump.
Yeah.
It was good.
What's a bump? You got to talk to us non-kickers.
So you got to, like, land it in the middle where no one is on the little X.
Yeah.
And just make it stay right there. I did really good at that.
So you're like a golfer. So you being a senior, talk to us kind of how you ended up here and with this one singular year. How did that end up working out like that?
So last year, after my soccer season, Coach Lewis came up to me and asked me to come be the punter and kicker. I didn't know if I could do either. I just said yeah because new opportunity, I guess.
Why not?
Yeah. And so I did it. And I started liking it a lot. And then, yeah, I started just getting into punting and all that. I didn't know I could kick until the Neville week. So.
Do you know what Mackenzie Ryan, Euland's punter, said to me?
What?
He said that kid has natural power and just naturally uses his hips. I don't think he knew you were a soccer player, though.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's what my hip comes from in soccer because we use those a lot. And, yeah, I need to stop doing it because it goes to the right a lot.
Okay, yeah. Getting full hip action. All right, kind of talk to us, Coach, while you watch it from an offensive perspective. What is it like having a kicker with a leg and seeing this young senior right here kind of progress?
Man, it's always good to have a kicker with a leg, man, especially if you're talking kickoff, man. We're trying to pin them deep and make the field long for the opposing offense. So that's one thing that that me being on the other end, just being able to look out there and see. As long as we got that, man, I think we're doing pretty good.
So your punter and your kicker, your best friend then?
Oh, most definitely.
What you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a deep running back room for the first time in a few years. It seems like Ouachita's always had like just one guy.
Just one guy.
And now because of MJ Day, Cam Williams, we've had a few additions. Now with the mobile quarterback, I consider that another addition. How does that change the way you approach game planning in practice?
Well, when you approach game planning in practice with those amount of guys, it's kind of like you got a lot of toys to play with. And we got to find out a way to get all of them the ball. You know, so that
can be stressful at times too.
Yeah, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
You know, but MJ Dade is a good premier back, and Cam Williams does a good job complimenting him when he come in, and the quarterback does a really good job as well running the ball. So he's like our +1, you know, when we talking about the run game. And I'm always trying to involve him in the run game just as well as the tailbacks as well. But I think we got a pretty good room right there. And, you know, all of those guys, man, they complement each other and they feed off of each other.
Talk to me about when you deciding, all right, we're going to put Cam in on this play, or, you know what, we got to get the ball to MJ. Do you play a part in, like, what back's going to go in, and whether does Coach Lewis say, I need Cam right now,
Well, I pretty much try to kind of get the feel of the game. And a lot of times with running back, it's a little different because some games – MJ could be the hot guy, and you got to let him roll. And sometimes Cam could be the hot guy. You just got to let him roll. But they both serve different purposes for the game. MJ is more of your different kind of back. He can get the big play. Cam, you know, one of your bowling ball type, your downhill type guys. When short yardage, you want to get him in, and he convert for us, or you know, just come in and he knows his role and he blocks good out the backfield. He runs his ball hard, so they both serve different purposes.
And with your quarterback, he seems like he don't care about contact. He gonna smack you in your face.
Yeah.
Do you kind of quench a little bit when you see him going in there, like if we run like power read or something like that?
Oh yeah, man. But he's a gamer, man. You know, so
yeah.
I always, you know, when he first came, you know, I looked at him like, man, that's another tailback in the backfield.
Basically,
so that's how we got to treat him. So,
yeah.
you know, and we always try to do what we can to protect him. But at the end of the day, he a gamer.
So to the layman's, you got gap scheme, you got zone scheme, right? Or would you consider us more a gap scheme or zone scheme team?
I'll say we're more of a gap scheme. You know,
counter power.
Yeah, counter power.
Duo.
You know, your pin pull. Yeah, most definitely. So your pin pull, your counter, your power. You know, that's what I love anyway. But I also like the zone as well. But we probably more heavy pin pull.
And how does that change for a running back perspective, whether it's a zone blocking scheme play or a gap scheme play? I asked that question for a reason. I want to get to this.
Well, when you're talking zone, you know, we're talking inside zone. We're going to be reading play side based on our first cut. So the inside zone can hit anywhere. Your outside zone can very well hit anywhere as well. So you just kind of reading it like if we talking outside zone. That people mostly think that that's a horizontal play. I mean that's a horizontal play.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's not. I'm stretching the defense vertical. I mean stretching the defense horizontal to put my foot in the ground to get vertical. So that's what those two schemes are. And when you're talking to pin pull, that's like basically block down, kick out, and we got somebody leading for us. So, you know, the zone gives us where you're not putting that tail back and you're not bottling him up saying
you got to go B gap.
Yeah. So that's where you see MJ probably press this gap and end up on the other end or somewhere else. You know, it can hit just in different spots. So, you know, that's the difference between, you know, your inside zone, your outside zone, and your pin pull.
Where's the running back looking, Coach? When the ball is snapped on, say, a outside zone, who is he keying in on for his first read?
When we talking outside zone, he keying that, okay, if we running it to the tackle side, we keying the tackle's block. So if we see the tackles, the back of the tackle, that means we're going to put it in the ground. If we see him hooked, that means we're getting outside.
And so that is good information. The average person has no idea what's a running back. They just think, just go to where the hole is, you know.
So it's a little more technical, man.
Absolutely.
And I have to coach it that way, man. That's how I like to coach it. It's more than just give the ball to the best dude in the backfield. Yeah, you got to teach this stuff.
So does that change based on the D-line? So, like, what type of D-line are we facing this week? Are they a slashing type, like the do stunts, so they kind of playing base?
Well, they more base, man. They're not really stunned and slanting and all of that, but they more base. You know, where they going to be. So
yeah. And so this is a team that we have to. You say you want to establish the run.
Yeah, most definitely. Every week. That's
every week, for sure.
Yeah,
man,
every week.
And you know what? As the season has gone, you know, we starting to see some continuity. How does the run game open up our offense?
Well, the run game, it opens up the offense because now you're saying that we got to account for the defense saying, well, we got to account for this run game.
Yeah.
So now that opens up the passing game, and also that makes your RPOs a little better. You know, your run pass options. So, you know, establishing the run game definitely opens up the offense. So
you basically, I remember we played Pineville a couple years ago and we didn't have a quarterback, and we put Odie Fremont.
Oh, yeah,
Do you remember that?
I wasn't here then, but I heard about it.
We put Odie Fremont at quarterback, and we ran it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with that?
Any day.
Any day right there. Coach Tolbert, man, Connor Burns, man, I had a great time with you guys. I look forward to seeing y'all this week versus Pineville. You guys keep it locked here. We'll be right back to the Benji Lewis Coaching Show after this.
Big rig wrecks can lead to life-changing injuries. I'm Christian Creed. As an accident investigator for over 40 years and a former insurance adjuster, I know what insurance companies are looking for. Combine that with our experience and local team, including accident reconstructionists, economists, and engineers who work hard together to leave no stone unturned, to build the strongest case for you and your family. Remember, if you've been injured in an accident, let us go to work for you. Call Creed & Creed today. We're your local injury attorneys.
I'm Chris Lewis, the proud owner of Coney Island Connection. For nearly 20 years now, we've served the Oklamis with our fast, friendly service and our famous chili cheeseburgers and our famous chili cheese dogs. Well, the chili is homemade. I'm asking you to stop by today and give us a try. We also serve hot tamales, roast beef po' boy, fried pickles, and much more. We even serve funnel cake fries here at Coney Island Connection on the corner of North 7th and Arkansas Road.
Football fans, are you ready to score big this season? Johnny's Pizza House is the winning play for every game day with our new Pizza Squad Rewards app. Download it now from johnnysbh.com/app and get in the game with $5 off your first in-app order. Every order earns you loyalty points, so you can rack up rewards faster than a running back hitting the end zone. Save your favorite orders, track your deliveries, and enjoy exclusive offers, all at your fingertips.
If you or a loved one have been the victim of medical negligence or a drug injury, we can help. Do what thousands of satisfied clients have done. Call Jeff Guerrero, the injury attorney, and go Guerrero.
The last hailstorm, we called Weather Pro. They came out very quickly, inspected the house, did everything we needed to do, took care of all the paperwork, and took care of it quickly. After that was done, and they cleaned up everything and didn't have to worry about anything. There was no hassle, no nothing. It was great. They did a very professional job. I would highly recommend them for any job that you have for roofing.
Sports is a proud supporter of Ouachita Lions football, dishing out some of the best burgers, conies, and appetizers in Monroe to the citizens of East Ouachita Parish for many years. From supersonic burgers to bacon doubles, chili cheese conies, jalapeno poppers, and weekly specials, Sonic has something that will satisfy your craving. Grab a snack on the way to the game or dinner on the way home. That's Sonic Swartz, 520 Lincoln Road, proud supporter of Ouachita Lions football.
And we are back here at Catahoula's eating some good food. Coach Lewis over there went got him some vittles at the
man.
Tuned into the Benji Lewis Coaches Show. Man, all right. So we talked about last week. We flushed that. I had a good time talking to your group, man.
Good, man.
And now we're getting ready for them Pineville. What are they?
The Rebels.
The Pineville Rebels.
The Rebels. Yeah, man. Coach Bryant Bell, their head coach, I think he's in his fourth, maybe fifth year with Pineville.
Yeah.
It's a tough gig, man. You know, we talked about it briefly with Ash last week, but Rapides Parish, the parish that they're in, open enrollment. So I know, you know, I mean, let's be honest, Pineville's not the hot
marquee
ticket.
spot.
Yeah, it's not the hot ticket. They do have some things. I think baseball-wise, they do a good job. Cullen Guerrero, who I coached, is their head coach, and they went to the Sulphur a couple of years ago. But it's tough. It's tough to keep kids and things like that at Pineville. And so Coach Bell, who I think a lot of, obviously, for those who don't know, the son of Billy Bell, legendary coach from around this area.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so that's his son.
Coaching, he's from the Bell coaching tree.
That's absolutely right, yeah. So I think he does a really good job, and sometimes it gets skewed in, you know, what he kind of inherited, the situation he inherited.
The situation, the ingredients you're working with, that, and everything comes on you guys, man.
That's right. But they have been able to they got them a couple of wins, 2 or 3 wins this year, and one big one that they beat Tioga, which is obviously, you know, they're in Rapides Parish. That's their rival.
Okay,
and they beat Tioga earlier in the year.
So that's a big hang your hat win for them.
Yes, man. You know, Coach Bell, that was his previous job, was the defensive coordinator at Pineville. At Tioga, before getting this job. But man, a lot like us last year, you know, somewhere in, I don't have that film, but somewhere in the pre-district schedule, their quarterback went down. And they've swapped offenses around a lot in the last 3 or 4 years, trying to find something that
works
fits their personnel.
That's interesting, man. People don't understand that. Why don't they do X, Y, Z?
I know.
And they don't know. Well, we don't have the utensils to do that.
Well, look, Des, we've seen them in years past start the year out in flex bone and end the year up in spread.
Get out of here.
Last year.
I've seen people, because I guess they ain't had no hitters, they said.
That's right. Yeah. They just didn't. I mean, and so this year they remained to be an 11 personnel team.
Okay.
The Neville game was the first time I saw the running back that I'll talk about in just a second. Like, he went to quarterback, and it was a very similar situation to us last year where he can't throw the ball, but he's their athlete, and so they put him there. And they've done some different things. He still plays quarterback some, but they've moved the wide receiver to play quarterback. And so offensively, you'll see them in 11 or 12 personnel. And really the cog to the whole thing is number 23. He's a junior, Aiden Tate.
I heard they had a pretty good back this year.
Yeah, that's him. You know, they go in against Neville. They score the first touchdown of the game. They're just going down basically in Wildcat formation with him as the quarterback and just running.
So they got an extra player. They got an
extra hat to to that side. And he's done a good job both with the ball in his hand as quarterback athlete, and also I think he's much more comfortable as a running back. But Aiden Tate, Hakeem Nix is another running back that comes in a lot, especially when Tate is at quarterback. Nix is also an 11th grader. He's 5'6", 150. Seems like he has the burst. Tate is that guy that loves running between the tackles. Nix has got a little more burst probably than Tate, but maybe not as tough a runner, but very, very serviceable. The other guy they try to get the ball to a lot is their slot receiver, and that's Kamarian Phillips. He's a 10th grader, 5'8", 146. You know, appears to have some speed, you know. And
how do they get it to him?
Well, that's the thing with the quarterback situation being what it is, you know. A lot of the balls have to go to the slot just for the nature of what the distance of the throw is. But he runs a lot of slants, and they run one concept they love a lot is just a switch stop. He'll go from the slot and basically running a stop, you know. And
are they trying to catch you in man when they do that, or they?
Well, teams have played a lot of man against them in our district. That's the films we have in our district. They played a lot of man. And he's won some matchups, especially, you know, some teams have played him with outside leverage to the slot, I guess trying to filter it to the linebacker, and he's been able to hit them there.
In space.
You know, Ash was one of those teams that I think he had a long touchdown on. But he's definitely there.
So they've had some explosions on offense this year.
They have. They really had a good game against Tioga, running the ball and throwing the ball. That was obviously with their quarterback before he was injured. But we anticipate them, you know, to be a zone run team. They'll sprinkle in a little bit of gap scheme, but your outside zones. You know, I think of everything from if I were attacking us, what would I do? You know, people have tended mostly to stay away from our interior tackles. Yeah, so I think things like outside zone, maybe a little power if they feel like they can get that block down. Maybe a little power. I don't think they want to come across the formation. You know, just thinking maybe they do, but I just don't think they'll come across the formation with a lot of counter action and things like that. They operate a lot out of the pistol too. So, you know, their outside runs aren't a lot of cross-face outside zone. It's more like stretch plays. So
talk about how does pistol change the read for a linebacker when they get it?
Well, you know, a lot of times we try to get a pre-snap read because we're trying to see where the back is in relation to
what's
the
his
sniffer.
split, what's his offset.
And so when you go pistol, and Thomas at Ash Bachman does that a lot too, where he goes pistol, it just kind of you're not seeing the intent. Now, what Ash does a lot more. I mean, you talk to college coaches. I remember you mentioned Manny Michelle coaching you. I worked a lot with Manny when I was at ULM as a student. And we talked about the depth of the back and how pistol is a terrible pass protection formation for.
Because they ain't
stopping. Ash, I mean, you can't tell Ash that.
That is a valid point.
Yeah, but I mean, just the distance, it's not a good pass. So we look a lot at run, screen, and pistol. And they do screen game some because, again, it's an easier throw for either Tate or whoever. Number 15 is Justin Rochelle. That is their serviceable quarterback right now.
Gotcha.
But, again, he played most of this year as a receiver. So
they working with what they got, basically.
Yes, that's exactly right. They are working with what they got. Up front, they do have 3 starters on the offensive line. They're 12th graders that we saw last year. And they have some size, man. They really do.
Yeah, looking at it for sure.
Yeah, you got a 6'3", 292 in Elias Sellers, and then you got the 6 foot 334 in the 11th grader Brady McCann. They appear to, you know, if I'm honest, you know, one thing that I've seen consistently is that any stemming of the front gives them trouble.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't like movement at all. So that and just keeping it a buck. I love stemming. I love movement. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
Take the guesswork out of it. You need
that's
to be
right.
here.
I mean, there's so many things that offense can do with motion and things like that, snap counts and stuff to keep the defense off guard. Well, we don't need to frame ourselves up a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially against zone teams, because I tell my kids all the time. Last week. You would have thought JT Lindsey wore a cape most of the week.
You know what I mean? Like, geez.
And you got to frame it. I don't care if he's an LSU signee or not. He's still high school kids, man. And so things like stemming the front to a zone team, you're making a high school offensive lineman make a decision in an instant. You know. So that's some ways that we try to kind of steal an advantage in the game is doing some stem stuff.
We got some ends. We had one come here today, and
Blaze has done really well. Blaze is that was his second game last week starting, and he's averaging 3 or 4 tackles a game, which is good production, man.
Yeah,
good production for a guy that, like you said, has kind of been a journeyman and found his home at defensive end. He'll tell you he's a very self-realist guy that he's not the strongest, he isn't the fastest, but what he makes up for in that is just doing the fundamental things and the little things that we coach. He tries to master those.
Yep.
And not a scholarship football player, not a college football player, but just enjoys a game of high school football.
And go join the Marines
that's
after
right.
that. You know what I'm saying? Go shoot guns. He said. That's what I said. We talked about recruiting. I said, what do you say to recruit people? He said, you can do fun stuff.
Yeah.
I say, like what? Shooting guns. Well, yeah. So all right, up front. We're going to be able to move a little bit, maybe confuse them and put some in play. So if you had to describe if you try to describe Pineville, you think they're going to try to limit possessions with their offense?
Every year I would have thought that, but no. I was telling Coach Foote, who's just with us for the first year this year, I told him, and our first year here, I was his defensive coordinator. We go there, and I think we were 6-3 maybe, something like that. 6-3, 5-4. Anyway,
I remember that. Yeah.
We were set up, for a pretty favorable seeding, and had knocked West Monroe off that year. And we go in there, and we weren't very focused. And Pineville hadn't won a game, and it was their senior night. And, man, I felt like I defended a trick play every second or third play.
I remember that. What's going on here?
I know. We saw reverse passes. We saw everything.
They threw the kitchen sink at us.
Trying to get the win, And so I've waited on that again because they've been in similar situations the last couple of years. I've waited on play keep the ball away game. Yeah. They've just not done it, I think he operates, and there's something to be said for that. They operate their offense and, play it as a regular game. I think they tried that one time, and that's just not his deal. Now, that could change Friday night, but
so we expecting what we gonna expect to see some stuff we ain't seen on film potentially.
Yeah, we've definitely seen it in practice, so that we know that the potential is there for that. They've shown some reverses and stuff in games, so
and we got film of us doing a West Monroe with the reverse and then coming back with the fake reverse right afterwards.
That's right. Yep. So, I mean, I can see things like that, especially in tight. They're going to be in the playoffs, I think, in the select division. And so you don't want to show too much there. You kind of want to keep some of that.
So I wanted to talk to you about this. So we thinking, of course, 1 week at a time. But everybody say there's a line a little bit. Yeah. You got to think, how can I build into the season? Right, so we're actually building something with this week. So you want to show as little as you can and get it done.
Well, you want to continue to work on the things like we said. We've got some injuries, so you're kind of wanting to work to build the chemistry up front, especially. Get your guys healed up. Try not to get any more injuries, and go get back to doing the things we did good not too long ago.
Got it. Well, talk about that, Coach. Talk about some things we're going to need to do good on our offense and what they're looking like at defense.
I think the blessing and the curse of having a guy like Montrell Connor, tremendous athlete, man, has not turned the ball over much this year. I think he's got 1 pick on the year, and that's it.
Very impressive.
But, he tries to play the game in a way to where he don't want to take a small negative, and doing that sometimes it turns into a large
trying
negative.
To make a play.
And we talked to him about that. Now, it's nothing that he's doing. It's not sabotaging, but he's just trying to make a play. And sometimes we just have to call that loss, that 1 yard loss. That's
take
enough.
it. Yeah, exactly. We'll come back second down. We'll get it back.
And then some reads that he needs to start getting that will benefit him because they're wide open. You know, there's some times he gives on his own read that if he pulls it, you know, with him, he's got 10 yards plus. You know, just getting back to where we feel good as an offensive line. You know, we would like to average our offensive line grade a week at an 80. You know, I mean, we've been higher, you know, but we would like to be at 80.
So how does that? So for the average person, when you grade an offensive line, what are you looking at? You grading each individual play?
Yeah, at any position,
plus and minus.
At any position, it goes this way, pluses and minuses. So, and that's relative. So if a guy just comes in and plays 15 snaps, he can still be graded kind of in the same, because he's going to get the percentage of his plays instead of saying, hey, we got 60 offensive snaps.
Just the 15. Gotcha.
But, you know, I'll use Coach Tynes for an example. When he's grading, he goes in, he knows the play that's on the film, and he knows what everybody's supposed to do, and it's just a plus and minus, just a plus and minus sign. And he goes and says, okay, this guy's got 45 plays, and 30 of them he did the right thing. Well, he made about 66.
That's tough. Yeah. That's a coach killer right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we feel like, you know, offensive line, there's a lot of things, you know, that can go on there.
And an 80's not bad. That's not so much. That's a B minus.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you know, in our games, you know, Wiseman, we rushed for 200-something yards. Captain Shreve, we rushed for 200-something yards. Sterlington rushed for 200-something. And those are our highest offensive line grade was like an 87, I think. So, yeah, serviceable 80. Yeah, you can still have a really good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
And so, how does Palmer look on their defense? What type of defense are they running?
Coach Bell's a defensive guy, and he has held true to that. Now, that's one thing that hasn't changed. It's structured here by our stuff. They just walk a guy. It's a 3-4 defense.
Yeah.
It's an old 50-looking defense, you know. But they're going to walk that outside linebacker up on the tight end.
Who's that, 29? Oh, excuse me,
41.
41, yeah.
Now, the bell cow of that, and I saw them, they came and played us in freshman ball a couple of years ago. How many years ago now? Everything runs together. Okay. That's a long time ago. Number 7, man, Jamarcus Thurst. He did everything for him as a linebacker, and I know Coach Bell, I talked to him after the game. I was really impressed in that freshman game. Like, man, that dude's good.
Yeah, you saw some sparks
and
there.
Because of the nature of Rapides Paris, he said, I may not have him next year, you know. So I'm glad for him that
he stuck around.
You know, he stuck around, and he's definitely kind of the lifeblood of that defense. The other guys, Ty Sanders does a really good job as free safety, number 5. Jacob Miranda also returns kicks and things like that for him, number 2. But you can see they're pretty senior heavy on the defensive side of the ball. So these guys have been playing, you know, a good while with that, and have grown and been able to do, you know, have a little bit more success than what they've been accustomed to in years past.
Are they moving? You say he's a defensive guy.
He doesn't stem and stun a lot, you know, out of that. You know, Ash played a lot of head up fours last week. He plays a lot of technique instead of, you know, trying to 2-gap or anything like that. And does a good job of it. I mean, the one thing, you know, when you're looking at things from a defensive mind, and you'd be shocked in this state just how many times it's not this way, but you look and you say, okay, let me see how this guy is. He sound? And he's sound, man.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
what's his actual coaching acumen? How much X's and O's?
Yeah.
If I do this, what's he going to do?
Because I've seen it. In 22 years, I've seen some guys that are either blitz happy or they're not, and I'm like, golly, man, you're not gap sound.
Yeah, that is the
and that's
the
almost like
thing.
cussing somebody.
Exactly.
You know?
your guys ain't where they supposed to be.
That's right.
You set your defense up to leave an entire gap open. That was Manny Michel's biggest key. You better be where you're supposed to be.
That's
so,
right.
Coach, for the Lions to get a W coming into this week, coming off of a tough L, what was kind of been the message? Coach Tober talked about establishing a run.
Well, I think it's starting strong and fast. You know, I mentioned earlier that we are going to come out, and should this matter, in 22 years, I've always told guys just the opposite of this. And so this is just more evolution as a coach and seeing what's needed. We've got to come out to doggone stretch excited.
Yeah,
we got to come out to
for
stretch
sure.
excited. And I've always told guys, I'm an old school believer of, you know, all that excitement.
Save
stuff.
it up.
Second drive, it wears off anyway, and you just play in the football game. But I think we need it. I think we need excitement, and I think we need to start. He said establish a run, I agree, but I think start fast. I don't care who's out there first, start fast. Create a sack, a turnover, tackle for loss, do something, get to a punt, get a touchdown. We're on offense, long gains, and let's score some points on the first drive. I think that's key to kind of getting it, we can do this again.
And get the many faces of Ouachita.
That's right.
So getting to the team that played Ruston and West Monroe.
That's right.
I got you.
Yep.
Mess, any final words you want to bring to the fans watching right now?
I want people to know it's affected us. I know there's frustration, about the last 2 weeks, and believe me, it resides in that field house as well, and in my coach's office, and we work a lot of hours, to fix that, because I know the potential of this team. I do. I've seen it. I think anybody that tunes in or buys a ticket and comes to a game, they've seen it. And getting to consistent, that's the biggest thing for me, because a consistent, we're going to be able to win with that. We're going to be able to win some ball games. And so, just getting back to, hey, remember when we played like this?
Yeah.
You're capable of that,
Yeah, absolutely.
And just continuing to be, just reassured.
And even with all that, we got the whole season in front of us. We got a
right.
very winnable game to get into the playoffs, and you get in, you have a shot.
That's right.
And we got to ask the fans, y'all got to come out and watch. You got a very short trip down the road.
Yep.
We got DJ T-Lay Productions actually going to be live streaming the game at 7 p.m.
Yep.
So you guys be sure to tune in. You know what? If you don't come, tune in. But we like to see you in the stands.
That's
but
right.
You know what? Coming soon is a win. I'm gonna predict it right now.
Yeah.
Put your money on us. But we appreciate you guys watching. You've been tuned in to the Benji Lewis Coaches Show.
Thanks.
Big rig wrecks can lead to life-changing injuries. I'm Christian Creed. As an accident investigator for over 40 years and a former insurance adjuster, I know what insurance companies are looking for. Combine that with our experience and local team, including accident reconstructionists, economists, and engineers, we work hard together to leave no stone unturned to build the strongest case for you and your family. Remember, if you've been injured in an accident, let us go to work for you. Call Creed & Creed today. We're your local injury attorneys.